There is a strange moment that happens to many people, not during tragedy or joy, but in the quiet, meaningless hours of an ordinary day. You're standing in your kitchen or walking down the street when a sudden awareness cuts through the humdrum. What am I actually doing with my life? It's not a question of success or failure, not even morality, but of reality itself. The things you chase, the identity you defend, the future you fear, all of it begins to shimmer like a mirage. You sense that what you call your life might be nothing more than a story you've been hypnotized into believing. And beneath that story, something ancient and alive is watching you, waiting for you to remember. Alan Watts called this the great forgetting, the moment when the infinite consciousness that gave birth to the universe fell asleep inside a human dream. You and I are that consciousness, pretending to be people, pretending to be separate, pretending that this drama of ambition and anxiety is all there is. But what if the truth is far stranger and far simpler? Watts once said, "You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at itself." Think about that for a moment. It means you are not a fragment of life, isolated and fragile, but the very act of life expressing itself through a human form. And yet, most of us live as though we are trapped inside a box. A name, a job, a personality, convinced that freedom lies somewhere beyond our reach. We keep waiting for permission to be alive. We keep postponing being because we've been taught that life is something to achieve, not something we already are. It starts early. We're told to be somebody, to plan for our future, to make something of ourselves. But this obsession with becoming blinds us to the fact that we've already arrived. You cannot attain life, you are life. You can no more grasp it than a wave can grasp the ocean. And yet, the human tragedy is that we spend our days chasing illusions. Success, control, validation, immortality, all in an effort to escape a truth that both terrifies and liberates. There is no separate you living this life. There is only life happening through you. Imagine a wave rising from the sea. For a brief moment, it has a shape, it believes itself unique, individual. But soon, it falls back, dissolving into the same water that birthed it. We fear this dissolution, but Watts wanted us to see that the wave never truly left the ocean. The entire time, it was the ocean just momentarily taking form. Our greatest suffering comes from mistaking ourselves for the wave instead of the water. Carl Jung once wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And that's precisely what modern life has become, an elaborate avoidance. We drown in distractions, intoxicated by endless doing, terrified of stillness, because in stillness, the mask begins to slip. The person you've been playing starts to crumble, and something vast peers through the cracks. That's the moment Watts wanted you to face, the terrifying beauty of realizing that the self you defend doesn't actually exist. What remains when that illusion dies is not nothingness, but an awakening, a merging with the very flow of existence itself. But to see it, you must first dare to stop running, to sit and let the silence swallow your identity whole. Because only when the you think you are dissolves, can you begin to glimpse the truth he spoke of. That life is not happening to you. It is happening as you. And before it's too late, before the noise of the world buries this knowing beneath another day of busyness and fear, Watts wanted you to remember one thing. You were never born as a person trying to find life. You are life pretending to be a person. From the moment you opened your eyes to the world, a silent trick began. A trick so total that you never thought to question it. You were given a name, taught what was yours and what was not, told to draw invisible boundaries between me and everything else. And without realizing it, you began to live inside those boundaries. You became an island, surrounded by oceans you could no longer feel. This illusion of separateness is humanity's oldest addiction. It gives birth to comparison, envy, fear, and the restless hunger for more. You can see it everywhere. In the endless scroll of social media, the chase for perfection, the anxiety of being enough. Beneath every ambition lies the same desperate whisper. If I can just become someone, maybe then I'll be real. But what if that whisper is precisely what keeps us asleep? What if the self we are trying to perfect is the very dream we must wake up from? Alan Watts often compared life to a game of hide and seek, the divine, infinite consciousness hiding from itself, just to experience the thrill of rediscovering who it is. You, me, everyone, we are the masks that the universe wears while playing. But somewhere along the way, the mask forgot it was a disguise. The game became serious. The players began to believe the game was real. We forgot that the goal of the game was not to win, but to remember. In our obsession to secure ourselves, we've built systems, hierarchies, religions, nations, all to protect the illusion of a separate me. And yet, despite our empires and technologies, an unshakable emptiness remains. We have everything, yet we feel nothing. The modern human is surrounded by connection yet drowning in loneliness, armed with information yet starved for wisdom. This is the paradox. The more we try to control life, the more it slips through our fingers. Because control belongs to the ego, and the ego is a mirage. Watts would often smile at the irony of human effort, our constant attempt to grasp something that cannot be grasped. Trying to control life, he said, is like trying to bite your own teeth. The tighter we cling, the more fragmented we feel. The more we resist the flow, the more we suffer. The universe, he would say, is not a machine to be managed, it is a dance. And you are not a dancer apart from the dance. You are the movement itself. But we've forgotten how to move with it. We've mistaken the choreography of life for a competition. Look at how we approach existence. We treat love as a possession, not a participation. Nature as a resource, not a reflection. Death as an enemy, not a return. Every part of our world mirrors our inner division. We fight wars to defend ideas, not realizing that both sides are expressions of the same consciousness trying to understand itself. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the Superman, a rope over an abyss. We are that rope, trembling, suspended between instinct and awakening, between illusion and truth. The abyss below is not death, but the fear of letting go, the terror of losing our precious self. Yet, paradoxically, the only way to cross that abyss is to fall, to let go, to stop clinging to the rope, and trust that what awaits below is not destruction, but liberation." Watts believed that awakening isn't something you achieve. It's what remains when you stop trying. When you stop seeking approval, stop defending your story, stop resisting the rhythm of existence. In that surrender, something shifts subtly, silently. The boundaries begin to blur. The walls between you and the world soften. You start to sense that every sound, every breath, every flicker of light is not outside you but within you. And when that realization dawns, even briefly, life becomes astonishingly intimate. The trees are no longer trees. They are you breathing in green. The wind that touches your face is the universe brushing against its own skin. The stars above are not distant. They are the same fire that burns behind your eyes. The illusion of separation cracks, and through that crack, eternity peers in. There comes a moment, often quiet, often unbearable, when the illusion begins to fracture. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with revelation or fireworks. It happens in the stillness between thoughts, in the pause after exhaustion, when the self you've been constructing begins to tremble under the weight of its own performance. For some, it comes as despair, a breakdown, a loss, an unexplainable sadness that nothing can soothe. For others, it arrives disguised as wonder, a sudden expansion, an inexplicable clarity, a moment when everything feels impossibly alive. But in both cases, the same truth waits beneath the surface. The mask is cracking. Alan Watts spoke often about this collapse, not as a tragedy, but as a birth. Because what is breaking down is not you, but your idea of you. All the stories, fears, and labels that once defined you begin to dissolve like mist under sunlight. And what's left is raw, unguarded awareness. The still point from which all of life emerges can be terrifying, because in that stillness, there is nowhere left to hide. The ego, like a frightened animal, fights for survival. It whispers, if you let go, you'll disappear. If you stop controlling, you'll be nothing. But that is the great lie. You don't disappear, you awaken. The self you thought you were begins to fade, And in its place, something vast unfolds, something that cannot be named or owned. You realize that the same consciousness breathing you is breathing through all things. The same awareness that witnesses your thoughts is witnessing the stars, the rivers, the passing of time. And for a fleeting moment, you understand there was never a you separate from it. What's once compared this awakening to laughter, the laughter that bursts out when you finally get the joke. The universe, he said, is not a problem to be solved but a cosmic play, Lila, as the Hindus called it, the divine game of existence, forever creating, destroying, and creating again. When you finally see it, you can't help but laugh because all the striving, all the suffering, all the seriousness with which we defend our tiny egos suddenly seems absurd. You see that you've been chasing shadows, fighting ghosts of your own imagination. The entire time, you were like a dream character trying to wake itself up, not realizing the dreamer and the dream were one. As the false self dissolves, the ordinary world becomes extraordinary. You begin to notice the miracle in the mundane. How sunlight pools on a wooden table, how rain writes silver lines across the window, how each breath carries the entire history of the cosmos. There's a softness to everything, a tenderness that was always there but long ignored. And yet, this awakening doesn't mean the end of human experience. It doesn't mean you stop feeling pain or joy. It simply means you no longer cling to them as yours. You realize emotions move through you like weather, temporary, transient, yet sacred. You no longer identify with the storm. You are the sky that holds it. Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." This acceptance, total, unresisting, luminous, is what's meant by enlightenment. Not an escape from life, but a radical embrace of it. A surrender so complete that even the idea of surrender disappears. This is the turning point, the unraveling of the illusion that life is happening to you. You begin to sense that life is happening through you, as you. You are not a spectator on the edge of existence. You are the pulse within it, the silence between its beats. And once that is felt, even once, you cannot fully return to the old game. You can pretend, but the pretending will never again feel quite real. You've glimpsed behind the curtain, and what you saw there was unspeakable. That behind all form, all suffering, all becoming, there is only being eternal, playful, and whole. What follows next is the integration, the tender, often painful process of learning to live as that realization, to walk through the world awake while the world still dreams. When the illusion falls away, life doesn't suddenly become easy. It becomes real. The same world greets you when you open your eyes, but everything carries a different light. The noise of life softens. The edges of reality blur into something living, breathing. You realize that everything you touch is not in life, it is life. The boundaries you once defended melt like frost in sunlight. But there's a quiet paradox here. Awakening doesn't remove pain, it transforms your relationship to it. Fear, sorrow, and uncertainty still visit, but they no longer feel like enemies. They feel like part of the music, minor keys in a vast, mysterious composition. What's once said that to awaken is not to escape the human drama, but to enjoy it as one enjoys music. You don't cling to a single note because the beauty lies in the movement, in the rise and fall, in the tension and release. This is the dance of awakening. The ability to fully participate in life's chaos without being trapped by it, to feel joy without grasping it, pain without drowning in it. You begin to live in the rhythm of surrender, not passivity but flow. Before this shift, we treated life like a war. Every event judged as victory or defeat, every emotion labeled good or bad. But now, you see that both darkness and light serve the same purpose: to reveal contrast, to make the whole visible. Even suffering becomes sacred when you see it as life experiencing itself, learning through its own reflection. The question then becomes, if all is one, if everything is life expressing itself, what place does individuality have? The answer, what would smile and say, is artistry. Once you know you're not separate from life, individuality becomes your instrument, not your prison. You play your role, vividly, passionately, with laughter and tears, knowing it's a role, yet honoring it as divine. It's like an actor who suddenly realizes the play is just a play, yet continues to perform, not because they believe it's real, but because they love the story. When you live with that awareness, every act becomes an offering. Even the simplest things, pouring tea, walking through a storm, listening to someone's pain, become expressions of the infinite experiencing itself through you. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." In those words lies the heart of what's tried to share. Life is a process, not a possession. We suffer because we keep trying to freeze the river, to hold on to joy, to escape sorrow, to define ourselves in a world that refuses to stand still. But the river flows, and in that flow is freedom. To live awakened is not to stand apart from the current, but to let it carry you, to trust its intelligence, even when you don't understand its direction. You learn that surrender is not defeat. It is the recognition that you were never separate from what moves you. Something profound begins to happen when this realization matures. Compassion arises not as an ideal but as a natural consequence of perception. When you see yourself in all beings, cruelty becomes impossible. You begin to understand that every person, no matter how lost or cruel, is another expression of the same divine amnesia you once lived in. You recognize their suffering as your own. You start to love without reason, to forgive without effort, to exist without armor. The boundaries between self and other, right and wrong, life and death, all of them dissolve into a seamless unfolding. You stop searching for meaning because life itself is the meaning. And yet, this realization is not an ending, it's a beginning. Because once you've seen that you are life, the question remains: how do you live, knowing this truth? What does it mean to move through the world as the universe aware of itself? Fragile, mortal, yet infinite. That's where the final transformation begins, the place where philosophy becomes poetry and existence becomes prayer. One day, everything you call yours will vanish. The memories, the faces, the dreams, the voice you call I. Time will come like a tide, and all the boundaries you've built will dissolve into something you can't name. And perhaps that is the quiet mercy of existence, that no matter how tightly we hold on, life will always take itself back. Alan Watts wanted you to see this not as tragedy, but as the ultimate revelation. Death, he said, is not the opposite of life. It is part of the same movement, the inhale and exhale of the eternal. The problem is not that we die, but that we spend our lives refusing to live until we do. We think of life as a possession, something we must cling to, a fragile flame threatened by the darkness. But life isn't yours to keep. You are the flame and the darkness, the breath and the silence between. The wave doesn't resist the sea. It rises, it falls, it returns. Its beauty lies not in its permanence, but in its participation. That is the truth Watts wanted you to realize before it's too late, that you were never a separate being trapped in time. You were time itself, unfolding, playing, dancing in infinite disguise. You don't have a life. You are life. But look around and you'll see how we forget. We hurry through our days as if life were a destination, not a dance. We rush toward the next goal, the next milestone, the next version of ourselves. We speak of living fully, but are always preparing to begin. We postpone joy for some imagined future that never arrives. Watts would often say, "The meaning of life is just to be alive. That's it, no grand purpose, no celestial scorecard. Just this moment, this breath, this astonishing awareness that you exist at all." But the tragedy is that we treat this simplicity as not enough. We look for enlightenment as if it were hidden somewhere beyond our humanity, when in truth it's right here, in the hum of the ordinary, in the pulse of your veins, in the sound of the world breathing with you. We don't need to chase life. We need to stop running from it. When you finally see this, something inside you breaks open, not with despair, but with tenderness. You realize that the people you love, the moments you lose, the beauty you mourn, they were never gone. They were never separate. They were waves in the same ocean that you are. And to lose them is only to watch the tide return home. The philosopher Martin Heidegger once wrote, "If I take death into my life, acknowledge it, and face it squarely, I will free myself from the anxiety of death and the pettiness of life, and only then will I be free to become myself. This is what's meant by awakening. Not an escape from mortality, but an intimacy with it. When you face death without fear, you discover that what dies was never the real you. The body falls, the stories fade, but the consciousness that looked through your eyes, that silent awareness behind every experience, remains untouched, timeless, whole. You are not in the universe. You are the universe for a brief, miraculous moment, aware of itself as you. And if there's one truth to realize before it's too late, it's this: you were never supposed to conquer life, understand it, or master it. You were meant to be it, to dance, to laugh, to love, to lose, to dissolve, to let the mystery have you completely. Because the point was never to escape the dream, it was to wake up within it. To see that the light you've been chasing has always been shining through your eyes. So before the curtain falls, before the tide pulls you home, pause. Listen. The same silence that waits after death is here now, between each heartbeat, between each thought. That is eternity, whispering through the fragile mask of time. And in that silence, the final truth hums gently. You were never born. You will never die. You have always been the dreamer and the dream, the wave and the sea, the universe remembering itself through you.